Klippet presenteras av Kalix Maskiner, Centus biluthyrning, Lindroths webbutik och Norrvakt.
Ja, välkommen till Vårat Gäng, en podd av och med Luleå Hockey. Idag tillsammans med Erica Rieder. Welcome here, Erica. How does it feel to arrive here in Luleå and Norrbotten?
So good. So good. I've been so looking forward to being here, and the city is beautiful. The club is amazing. The girls are so nice, so I'm really happy to be here.
If you would give a little short background where you're from and all of that.
Yeah, so I am from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. So if you look at the map of Canada, right in the middle. A lot of people ask, what is there to do in Regina? It's a smaller city. You know, I say it's a nice place. We've got a good sense of community there. But it's definitely, yeah, a lot of people would go there and say, oh, we have a hockey team and we have a football team. But yeah, it's just a smaller city. So, but it's home for me. So, yeah. And then, yeah, I guess I don't know what else do you want my age?
Yeah, whatever you can give.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my family was a big time hockey family.
Okay.
A typical sort of stereotypical Canadian hockey family. We lived at the rink during the winter months, and so my older brother played hockey, and so I started when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I've played my whole life and loved it since then. So yeah.
How was it growing up with hockey? Did you play with the women's team or boys or?
Yeah, so I've only ever played girls hockey.
Yeah.
I mean, in Canada, we have so many women's hockey players. And so you can start from very young. Depending where you live, if you live in a small town, it's a little bit harder. But I was in the city and we had enough girls that wanted to play. So we had our own league. So yeah, I've only ever played girls hockey. And yeah, it's been a great experience. Yeah, I played all of my minor hockey in Regina, and then I ended up moving one province over to Manitoba, where I played my college hockey, and then made my way to Sweden. But I guess we'll get into that.
Yeah, and how was it playing hockey as a young girl?
I loved it. I think I loved it from day one. I loved the team aspect of hockey, and just you could go out there and just be your very best every shift. And it's just as we go on with the podcast, you'll learn I've stepped away from hockey at some point in my career, and I think I've realized the love for it is just very strong. And so I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to be back for sure.
Yep. And did you do any other sports growing up?
I played 1 year of soccer. Wasn't too fond of that, but I did play rugby in high school, and I loved rugby. The physicality of it, I think with women's hockey, I think we're getting there in terms of the physicality, and it's getting better. But, you know, even 5-10 years ago, it wasn't so much. And so I think I got to go to rugby and be as physical as I wanted to be. And then I also did some Ukrainian dancing. And usually when I say that, I say I did Ukrainian dancing, but I'm German. So my friend had done dancing or Ukrainian dancing, and I was like, that looks fun. So
what is Ukrainian dancing?
Ukrainian dancing, it's just the traditional Ukrainian dancing. You wear the costumes. It's boys and girls together. I mean, I think for me, I loved it because it tapped into sort of my artistic and like feminine side, because I would go from the rugby field or the hockey rink to putting on my makeup and wearing costumes and doing ballet. And so, it was a good experience. I really liked it and had good memories from it. So.
And at the university, you didn't do Ukrainian dancing, but rather hockey.
Yeah.
How was that the decision to make, and how was it playing during your time at university?
Yeah, I did not do dancing, no, in Winnipeg. So I decided to go to Winnipeg. It was 6 hours down the road from Regina, so it was away from home, which is what I was hoping to do. I think I had my sights set on leaving Regina just for a new experience. And so 6 hours was far enough away, but not too far. And I always say it was the best decision I ever made to go to Manitoba. We had a really good team. We came in with 10 rookies, and I think a lot of people counted us out, and we got better every year, and we ended up winning the national championship in my 4th year. So, that was such a good experience, a great program. And I'm so happy to call myself a Bison alumni. So
yeah, and what did you study?
I took environmental studies. At the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So it was a degree that I was interested in the classes when I was there. I'm not sure what I will do with it. I might go back to school, who knows? But yeah, that's what I took.
And how was it combining studies with playing the sports that you love?
Yeah, it was manageable. They require you to take a minimum of 3 classes when you are playing, and so it wasn't too bad. I think I've always been someone, even when I was younger, who had a lot of things going on and a lot of different activities, and then you have school on top of that. And I always found that I like to be busy, so I didn't find it was too crazy.
And then after university, you ended up in Örnsköldsvik, moving to Sweden. How did you come to that decision to move overseas?
So I did have a few past teammates from the Bisons that had come to Sweden. And I knew as I was nearing the end of my college career, I didn't feel like I was done playing hockey. And so, yeah, I thought, okay, maybe I come overseas. And I think I talked to some players that had come before, and they said Sweden is such a competitive league. And my goal coming overseas and coming to Sweden was to become a better hockey player, and that's what I wanted. So I wanted something very competitive. And so, yeah, I reached out to different teams, and Mudo was the one that ended up happening. And, yeah, it was, also one of my best decisions I made.
And how was it moving to another country and having all the cultural differences, so even though I guess we're pretty similar in certain ways, but not in others?
Right, yeah. I was a little bit nervous. I didn't know what to expect. I think I was most nervous about the language, but then I quickly realized, the Swedes know English so well, so that wasn't too much of a problem. But the biggest difference I noticed was I find that in North America or in Canada, it's such a hustle culture. It's very go, 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 get things done. And the Swedes, I find, are very relaxed and very just chill, and just, it's no problem. Just chill out, relax. And I think that's so good. There's a reason why the Swedes and the Finns are so happy. They're so happy. So, that was an interesting sort of realization for me, but it was cool.
And how was it going to a grocery store the first couple of times in a different language?
Yeah, I had my phone with my Google Translate app, and I was scanning all of the products. I think I found the first couple times were a little bit tricky, trying to figure everything out. But once you know what you're going to buy, you just buy the same thing all the time. So it wasn't too bad.
And how was it making the transition hockey-wise onto the ice compared to back home and here?
Yeah, so I found that in college, the ice surface is much smaller, so that was a big thing. But I also found that, especially with my team in Manitoba, it was very systems-based and 5-person unit or forechecking or dump and chase sort of thing. And then I came here, and the ice was so big, so there was a lot more time and space, and it was big-time a possession game. And individual skill-wise, I was shocked. I was shocked at the level of hockey out here. And especially with so many of the young girls that I was playing with, just the caliber of hockey was so good. So yeah, it was super cool. It was a step up for sure.
And if we look at your statistics with Mudo, the first year you didn't have that many points, but then you racked up 22 and 23. What happened after that first year? Yeah,
so my first year, I think I came in and I dealt with some injuries when I first started, and I think I was trying to just get used to the level of play and just find my place on the team. And we struggled in terms of the standings that year. But I think for me, I always had so much respect for the organization and Mudo's commitment to helping their players get better. And so I signed for another year because I wanted to be a better hockey player. And so I think I came in my next year just feeling a little bit more comfortable with my role on the team and what I could do. And things went up from there. So. And from your time in Mudo, you got your first experiences with Luleå Hockey, MSSK. What were your impressions of the team then when you were playing against us? I've said so far, now that I've been here, I said, all my memories coming to Luleå have always not been so good because I've always been on the losing end of things. So, you know, I think it was my very first game, and Michelle Karvinen came down, flying down the ice and beat me one-on-one and scored. And I was like, welcome to Swedish hockey and welcome to Luleå. So, I mean, Luleå has always been such a strong team. I mean, everyone wants to beat them, and they're so good. So it's nice to be on the other side of it now.
Yeah, you're a part of that, and having all the teams chasing you, they really want to beat us every single game.
Yeah, for sure. Which will be so fun. And you know, I even notice in practice now, just the caliber of hockey is just so high, and like everyone is so talented. So it's going to be an exciting year.
How is it going from playing against players and then getting to know them? It must be a different eyes that you view those people when you're not playing against them.
Oh yes, for sure. I think you develop some sort of idea of all these players that you play against, and especially like, you know, really good players, you sort of have a little bit of sourness towards them because they're so good and they're not on your team. So now being in the dressing room, I mean, everyone is so nice and so kind, and everyone just wants each other to get better every day. And I think that's the biggest thing, and that's why Luleå has been so successful for so many years. And so, yeah, it's been such a good start.
You've been here for a couple of weeks. What have been your first impressions?
Of the city, I would say beautiful city, on the water. I mean, when I was in Mudo, it was on the water as well. So I'm used to that. But yeah, it just feels like there's a lot happening here. There's like, just so much going on. And then, I mean, of the club, everyone that I've met, it's just so kind and so hardworking. So yeah, it's a good start.
And you got going with team building right away. 2 days with the team.
Yeah.
Special things happening. First of all, what do you think about the physical activities?
Yeah, you know, that was one thing that I was really looking forward to, because I know Luleå has a reputation of being very hard in the gym and doing some crazy things. And so, yeah, when we got ready for team building, I mean, no one knew really what we were going to do, but I was prepared to do any sort of thing. And so it was such a fun time. And I think my favorite thing about being part of a team is when you're going through tough situations together. And like that's when the team bonding happens. And so I think those 2 days were really helpful for us. And
making a raft and crossing that water, how was that?
You know, I can't say I'm the best swimmer, but we made it across. It was tough, but no, it was great. I mean, yeah, all 4 teams crossed for the most part safely. And yeah, it was such a good time. There's so many good memories from that day. Yeah.
And what do you think about the water temperature?
Oh, yes. The water temperature is a little bit chilly, but I also am one to love ice baths. And I do, I remember with Mudo, which is with the sea right behind the rink, I would go and sit in the frozen water almost till it was frozen over and I would break a hole in it. So yeah, I'm used to the cold water, but yeah, that day it was like raining and we were already shivering. So anyways, it actually ended up being warmer in the water than outside. So.
But I guess it's a good activity to do something like this and all the walking to get to know the other players on the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of chatting, getting to know all sorts of different people on the team, and splitting up into different groups. And so yeah, it was a really good 2 days.
And you brought out a card game, making it competitive and fun at the same time.
Yeah, you know, we were told that we needed to bring some sort of game, and we didn't. We ran out of time to play all of the games, but it's just a simple card game. But I know I said, everyone move your coffees out of the way because it gets aggressive, and it very much did. So yeah, it was good fun.
You can watch it on TikTok, I think we put it there, and also on your Instagram.
Yeah.
So what are your expectations for this season with Luleå Hockey, for your own development and also for what you want to accomplish with the team?
Yeah, I think for me, personally, my own expectation, I think for myself is to, you know, I've been away from the game now for 2 years, and I know how much I love the game, and I've been wanting to come back and be a hockey player again. And so now I'm here. So I think my expectation of myself is to show up every day and be a happy face in the dressing room and be positive and love whatever role I'm given. And I very much understand that I'm coming in with maybe less experience just because I have been away from the game for so long. And so, taking everything in stride and making sure to be grateful for every moment, because I know what it's like when I don't have hockey in my life. And I think for the team, especially, I think, it's such a winning culture here, and they've won for so many years. And so I think to continue bettering each other every day and making sure that we're striving for greatness and excellence, whatever that looks like for us as a group this year. I think it's easy for you to come into this sort of organization where they've won so many years and been like, and just, we're hoping to get gold again. I think everyone starts the season hoping to get gold. And so I think it's little steps along the way that we need to make sure we're working towards. And then, we'll see what happens.
And you've mentioned it a couple of times that you've been missing out the 2 last seasons for very specific reason and a pretty fun one. Let us know why you didn't play the last 2 seasons. Yeah,
so I actually, 2 years ago, I stepped away from hockey. I had done I guess you could call it an Olympic sort of combine. There's a program in Canada where they go across the country and they look for athletes with Olympic potential. And they do some basic testing, and then different national sport organizations will look at those numbers and maybe look at you and say, you would be a great cyclist or a good rower, or you should join the track team. And so I did that testing quite a few times, and then I had the option to either do rowing or cycling. And basically their whole motto is you could become an Olympian. And for me, I think that was always such a big goal for me. I knew probably with the national team in terms of hockey might not be in the cards for me, but I believed in myself enough as just an athlete in general that maybe I could make this switch to another sport. And so, I chose cycling. And so 2 years ago in March, I guess it would have been May, I moved to a new city in Canada, and I started from level 0. I didn't know how to ride the specific bike. So I guess I should say the specific cycling that I was doing is the velodrome cycling. So in Swedish, you call it bank cycling or something.
Velodrome cycling.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. And so, I didn't know anything about the sport. I didn't know about the bikes. I didn't know that the bikes didn't have brakes. I didn't know anything. And so, I felt like I was, in grade 1 or in kindergarten in school, and I was just a little kid and I didn't know anything. And so it was a very good experience for me to go back to that stage of sport and learn from nothing and just work up from there. And so, it was 2 years, and my goal was Paris Olympics. So my goal was to be there right now competing for Canada. That obviously did not happen because I am now in Luleå, but over the course of those 2 years, I learned a lot about myself and, what I like about sport and, the differences between individual sport and team sport and, how elite those athletes are that are at the Olympics right now doing what they're doing. So, it was a great experience, great learning experience, but I'm much more of a hockey player than a cyclist. But
that individual versus team aspect of it, could you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing for me was with hockey. I played hockey my whole life, then I played rugby. Everything was always team, and so it was always just a collective effort working towards a common goal. And I think then when I got into cycling, everything I did mattered, because it was only me. When I got onto that line, it was me, and that's it. And so that was a big mindset shift for me, where it was like, well, if you're not there, if your legs aren't there, no one's there to help you. I think oftentimes with hockey, sometimes you'll have an off day and your legs aren't really there, but you have a D partner that can bail you out if something goes wrong. And with cycling, it's not that way. It's either you have it or you don't. So, I mean, you of course have training partners, which are very helpful in cycling, but at the end of the day, you're also competing against them. So that was a different dynamic for me, but very good learning experience.
And physically, what kind of benefits do you have done this?
Yeah, so with cycling, we did a lot of heavy lifting in the gym, which is something that I had from before, just hockey training before, but this was just another level. And so I think leg strength wise, it's definitely improved. Yeah, I think in general, I mean, they say, you want to be aerodynamic, so don't really do much upper body. And so, I didn't really do upper body for 2 years, so I've been trying to get that back. But I would say mostly, it's all legs with cycling. And so definitely my quads can take a lot of pain. That's what I've learned over 2 years. Now I just got to sort of get the fast twitch muscles back a little bit, just with agility and stuff. But yeah, leg strength wise, that's the biggest thing.
And how has it been coming back to the ice and practicing for hockey again?
Yeah, so I was on the ice a little bit when I was in Canada over the summer, and that was very helpful for me to just get back on the ice. I find that the skating and the foot speed is actually not the biggest problem for me. I find that the puck handling has been my biggest challenge. And then I also think as we get into games, it will be sort of the decision making and just like at this pace that we play out here, just making the right decision and being fast and thinking fast. But I know it'll come. I mean, I've had it before. And so I'm looking forward to getting better.
Mm-hmm. And then also we have the professional league back in North America starting up. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's super exciting for women's hockey. I think, a lot of girls, now have something to dream about. And, it's very good. It's very good for us women. So, I mean, I think many girls would speak very positively about it. Yeah, and I mean, there's many players that have left Luleå now and are playing or are going to be playing in the PWHL, and even Fallman has played last year and has come back. And the caliber of hockey and the speed at which they play is so good. So it's great that we now have a place to go and show our best players off to the world.
And also, there's been some change in the SDHL when it comes to physical play. When you've been out, how do you feel about being able to use your body a bit more? I guess it would be beneficial for you.
Yeah. So I think the year that I left Sweden and went into cycling, I found out that they were doing the pilot project with the hitting, and I was like, shoot. But so I'm super excited. I think that was another thing with cycling. There's no contact. I mean, there can be contact on the track, but it's not, hard hits or anything. You're kind of just rubbing elbows maybe. So I've always loved the hard hitting and like the contact. So I'm looking forward to it for sure.
And how much are you longing for the actual season to start?
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's been a long time coming. I think, mentally cycling was a really tough challenge for me. And, I think in the back of my head, I always knew that maybe there would be a chance for me to go back and play. Because, deep down, I always felt like I'm a hockey player. That's my identity. But, let's do this cycling thing. Let's see if we can achieve our goal and make it to Paris. And that didn't happen, which is okay. And I learned a lot about myself. But now we're here and we're ready to get going.
That sounds good. Really nice of you to come by this podcast. We get a good chance to see the first or get to know you a little bit before the season. So best of luck with everything and thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.